Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you hear me well?
Yes, that's very nice. Clear.
Yeah, that's good. Hello, everyone, and good morning from Doha, Qatar. First of all, I'd like to thank Prof. Ali for his wonderful and informative presentation. Really, it was very interesting for all of us. Thanks a lot for the State Islamic Institute of Parepare in Indonesia for organizing such a great global event. And of course, to all the keynote speakers, especially Dr. Andy, Dr. Mutmainna, for their kind invitation. Because sharing knowledge is the most important act of friendship, and because it's the way you can give something without losing something, we are here today from different countries around the world to share and collaborate together during this hard time. Thanks a lot for having me today, and thanks a lot for to be one of the keynote speakers today. My name is Mohammed Galal. Actually, I am from Egypt, but I live and work in Qatar as a teacher of English language, MIE expert, master trainer from Microsoft, Global Teacher Award winner, and Teacher of the Year in Qatar. And recently, I have been selected by Microsoft to attend Microsoft Education Exchange in Australia this year, inshallah. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most important tools of technology that can be used in teaching learning process. And as I believe that using the technology is not a goal itself, let me say it's just like a tool that can help us to achieve our goals and objectives in the classroom. So today I'm going to talk about using AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality in teaching learning process. My presentation today has 4 main points. In the first place, I'm going to talk about the difference between AR, VR, and MR. In addition, we have the pros of using AR and VR in education. Furthermore, I'm going to explain some examples of using AR and VR in teaching learning process. Last but not least, process of using AR in education and how I have used this kind of technology in teaching English language here in Qatar. Well, in this slide, I want to ask you about how do you see the two students in these cases? Well, I know that you see now a big difference between the two students. The first one on the left, he is feeling bored and doesn't have any motivation to learn or even to open to look at his book. But the other one is exploring, let me say, like the solar system. He's trying to discover more and more. He is fully engaged in this with the content he is dealing with. That's why in teaching learning process, we can say that motivation is considered to be one of the most essential parts of this process. So we have to think of new modern teaching strategies and methods that could help us not only making our students engaged and more involved in the lesson, but also enjoying while they are learning and studying, we can say in the classroom or even outside the classroom at home. According to a research by the National Center for STEM Elementary Education, this one shows that a negative interest in science begins in elementary schools, where about 33% of girls and boys in the 4th grade express negative attitudes. And moving on by 8th grade, almost 50% express negative attitude. So the point here is how we can build 21st century skills if we are not using 21st century instruction techniques. This is very important. We have to think about it. So now let me introduce the future of education that have started recently in many countries around the world. And this is using AR and VR in education and learning teaching process. Indeed, technology has made a big change in our life and, of course, in education and different fields. Well, uh, to begin with, I'd like to explain the difference between AR, VR, and MR. The first one, AR, stands for augmented reality. It's an interactive experience of a real-world environment. The fundamental idea behind this one, behind AR, is to add something to your experience of reality. So if you are watching a movie or playing a game, AR adds to that in some way or form to turn it immersive and more interactive. VR stands for virtual reality, means creating a simulation of a real world experience that a person can enter and live at any time using this kind of technology. And the last one is MR, which stands for mixed reality. This term in which the user is given the ability to explore the virtual environment and the real world seamlessly at the same time. Well, moving to the pros of using AR and VR in education, we can find more and more, but I'm gonna talk about or to conclude some of them. It's very important for learning process as creates a fun and excitement for all of our students. It can help more. It can help more in increasing students' participation in classes, and also it can help to improve and increase their understanding and their memorization. AR in education provides interactive lessons to students because of the interactive models of and the lessons in you can find different and even you can create your own content using AR and VR. Of course, this one will be very effective if you want to visualize your content and helps more to increase learning activity inside the classroom. Here we have two of the best platforms in this field of AR and VR. The first one is called Merge Edu or Education. This one is American platform which is specialized in AR and VR, and the other one is called CoSpaces Edu, which is a German one. The first one lets you hold, like, let me say, a virtual 3D objects and also help you to learn and interact with the digital world. Through using this technology, students can explore, let me say, for example, like a galaxy in the palm of their hands, hold the fossils and ancient artifacts and examine them. And even they can create virtual objects they can hold and share everywhere. About the CoSpace Edu, it's in German, as I have just mentioned before. With this one, you can enable your students to build and code their own content. Let me say, engage and help your students to enhance their digital literacy skills. If you are interested, you can download their apps from App Store or Google Play and start making use of this modern technology with your students inside the classroom or even through remote learning. Well, how does it work? We can say that Merge Education makes it easy to implement augmented reality and virtual reality in your content. Unlike other AR and VR products and apps, this one is designed for students and classrooms, especially for schools. 21st century classrooms require state-of-the-art teaching tools, and of course, integrating AR and VR into your school will help your students use the technology that will be part of their daily life, giving them an advantage as they prepare for their future career. AR and VR provides additional resources to help students meet performance expectations and achieve better learning outcomes. Can be used by students through the school year. We can say also that encouraging the use of hands-on learning tools can improve intelligence, that can improve performance in general. Not only that you can find this technology also helps more special needs learners. How does it work? When a student is engaged in what they are exploring, what they are discovering, they are more likely to connect with others and share what they are seeing, feeling, and thinking. So it will help us more. On this website, you can find a teacher board. This one gives teachers the ability to easily navigate their classrooms, content, explore and share activities, and also track your students' progress. Here we can find also activity plans that help teachers guide them to teach different or we can say all subjects. You can find the plans related to your subject. AR and VR by Merge and CoSpace Edu enable 21st century learning skills as they bring lesson plans to life. They also help more in developing 21st century skills like critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and research. By using this technology, you can easily visualize any content in your lesson. You can visualize it and make it in your hands to be more easily to discover and learn and make learning process for your students more enjoyable. And from this point, I'm going to talk or I'm going to show you how I have used this technology in my classes here in Qatar and how I make use of using this technology in teaching English here in Qatar. Here we have samples of reading lessons in grade 11 here in Qatar. The first one is about different people talking about their jobs. The second is about a world of unusual actions. And last one is about famous place here in Qatar. It's called Souk Waqf. How do you think I can teach this solid text? Open your book, read the text, then answer. I think it will be very boring for me and for my students. What I believe that we are, as a teachers, we shouldn't give our students information directly. So I try to visualize this content to be like that and give them the opportunity, a chance to explore, discover, play, and at the same time, they learn information about the content through, let me say, gamification or making use of AR and VR in education. I bought these tools from Amazon, and by the way, they are not expensive. Here we have the steps I followed during teaching through augmented reality and virtual reality. Firstly, after designing my lessons, and by the way, I designed all these lessons on the German platform CoSpace Edu. I presented the strategy to my students with clear instructions to help them achieve the goal and also to recognize what they are going to deal with. Then give them. After that, I give them the time to work on tasks here to let your students explore, discover, play, and learn about the content. Moving on, here one of the most important steps or let me say procedures. As you are very important as a teacher in teaching learning process, don't be afraid, technology will not replace us anymore. But teachers who use technology will replace those who don't. Here you have another task, which is to follow your students' work and make sure that all of your students do not have any problems in dealing with this kind of technology. Here we can say that you guide, you help, you support, not sharing information directly as in the past. And as I have mentioned before, at the beginning of my presentation, using the technology is not a goal. We are using the technology. We are not using technology for show or to say that we are using the latest technology. I believe that it's just like a tool that can help us to achieve our goals and can help in making the teaching learning process more enjoyable for me as a teacher and my students. And here we have the final stage, which is the process of assessment. As a teacher, I have to make sure that this kind of technology is effective and helps me in achieving my objectives, and also helps my students in understanding the content of the text or my subject. After using AR and VR in teaching English, I can say it's very effective, and and most of my students got high scores in all worksheets after learning through this kind of technology. They were engaged, they played, enjoyed, explored, discovered, and learned more about the content. There was an interactivity between my students and all materials I designed. It helps more my students in developing 21st century skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and research. To end my speech, or to sum up, I highly recommend using new modern strategies and methods in teaching new generations. I also believe that we should pay attention to students' motivation in learning. We as a teachers should do our best in designing materials and content that develop and enhance students' 21st century skills. To end my speech, by these words which said by this gentleman, Henry Ford, when he said that anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. And of course, if you find yourself saying, but I can't, just try adding the word yet. Thank you very much for having me today. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with you. Really, I am very proud to be here among keynote speakers. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
عليكم السلام